Please join us in welcoming to the stage our business and growth leadership team for the Grow Q&A.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. How's RDC? Great? My name is Matt Curtis. I lead developer relations. I'm thrilled to have you here to talk about our Grow Q&A. We also have a Create Q&A going on in the Cowell Theater. More technical related questions there. If you have questions regarding studio, engine, safety, please jump over there. You can feel free to jump in between. Here we're going to cover business, everything from discovery to marketing, to civility, to economy. The way it will work, we have 2 mics. We'll just do first come, first serve. I do ask that you introduce yourself, either name or username, what you work on, and then ask your question. And we're going to do a quick round of intros before we begin. So I'm going to hand it over to Matt Kelly.
Hi, I'm Matt Kelly. I lead growth. You can ask me questions along the lines of discovery, so that includes home, recommendations, search, notifications, matchmaking, how people get into servers, all those pieces, as well as international and other areas like our internal growth marketing teams, internal data science reports to me, although there's someone on the panel that's much better equipped to handle creator analytics questions.
Hi, I'm Christina Wooten. I'm Chief Partnerships Officer, and under my org is brand partnerships, business development, and education. And what we've been doing is really connecting our community with brands so that they can work together and seamlessly bring vision and storytelling to life. And lots of exciting things happening in education that Adam can talk about as well today, but excited for you guys all to be here.
Thank you. I'm Adam Seldo, and I lead our education partnerships team, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about teaching and learning on the platform.
Hey everyone, I'm Allie Miller. I oversee influencer marketing at Roblox, so we can talk to me about anything related to working with influencers for your experience or just influencer marketing in general.
Hi everyone, my name is Neha and I run marketing at Roblox. So in addition to overseeing the influencer program, anything social, how we communicate with consumers, RDC, this event, all of our events, how we engage and communicate with our business partners, developers, all of that.
Hi, Enrico. I lead product for economy. So anything around marketplace, avatar marketplace in particular, advertising, subscriptions, payments and fraud, anything that touches money essentially.
Hi, I'm Tammy Bomick. I lead Civility, the Civility Initiative here at Roblox, which is all about helping our community thrive through Roblox. So that includes supporting mental health. It creates we create media literacy content to hopefully bridge the education gap to make your experiences much more safe and civil.
And finally, my name is Jim Meenan, and I lead product for a team called Creator Success. You can ask me questions about anything you see at create.roblox.com or analytics, really anything on Creator Hub.
Cool. So with that, I'd ask if you have any questions, please line up. We also have some questions that we surveyed before, so we can start with those. But please feel free to jump on the mic if anyone has any questions. If not, I can get started myself. All right. Oh, here, first question.
Hi, my name's... Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Hi, my name's Sam. I'm an indie dev, and I'm just considering switching over to Roblox from Unreal Engine, and I'm actually thinking about making educational content. So Adam, what would be the most important thing to consider when starting to build an educational experience?
Sam, first of all, it's great that you're an independent developer who's considering developing for such a noble cause, right? Learning on the platform. That's fantastic. I think the number one thing to think about when you build for education on the platform is to distinguish between game-based learning and gamified learning. And so gamified learning is fun. It's like that drill and kill. Let's do as many math problems as we can and get points, which has its place. But it doesn't really leverage the wonderful things about immersive learning that are possible on our platform. So how can we aim for deeper learning, synthesizing, learning while playing, immersing ourselves in the environment, and that becoming part of the learning process.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. If there's not any other questions in the audience, we can start with one from the virtual audience. Matt, I'll start with you. Discovery is always a hot topic, and usually we're asked, what should developers and creators optimize towards? Could you give some insight into kind of the main things to really try to work on in order to maximize discovery?
Yeah, this is a great question, and I want to start just by zooming all the way out and talking through our philosophy and motivation and what we're trying to build in terms of the discovery platform and system. And it's really simple. It's trying to do two things. One is we want to match experiences to users and ones that they love. That's number one. Number two is we want to get experiences and developers to the perfect audience. And we think those two things actually go hand in hand. But there's an incredible amount of complexity that goes behind that. The other part is, from a developer perspective, we want to increasingly build a system where you can put almost all of your time and energy into the creative part, which is building your experience. We really want you to focus on content and just building things that ultimately users love. Time taken away, resources taken away from marketing and spending time on X, Twitter, whatever it's called these days, Discord, et cetera, is valuable to build your community, but we want to help you connect with an audience. So in terms of details, what that really means is we look at some really key important metrics. And it's really split across two. One is engagement, and the other is monetization. Engagement by far has the most weight, and we break it down in a couple of ways. One is how much time a user is spending in your experience. How many sessions are they spending? How are they retained? It's not enough that you can get them into one session for 10, 15 minutes. Are they coming back frequently every week, daily, monthly? Are they coming back a week later, a month later, months later? We really want content that users feel invested in and they want to come back to in the far future. That brings me into monetization. And the nice part about our platform is that generally when you buy something in an experience, it actually makes the experience better. It doesn't feel kind of orthogonal to the experience. So we see a user spending money in experience as another sign of value. Just like they can exchange their time, they can also exchange their money to improve the experience. And that's why we use that signal. Of course, it's also important because you all have bills to pay like everyone else, and we want you to be able to pay those bills, hire staff, and continue reinvesting in your content.
Awesome, thanks. And before we take the next question, I saw some additional people walk in. If you have a question, please feel free to go to the mic and you can ask. With that, Andrew.
Voldex, there we go. I'm going to go back to the discovery angle. Seems like the discovery metrics are largely focused more to the new player acquisition side. So just wanted to understand how you're balancing, say, acquiring or showing players new experiences versus using that to re-engage those in existing experiences or ones that they've since lapsed from.
Yeah, this is a great question, and an area that you'll see us invest into over time, particularly the re-engagement point. And historically, the system has been kind of broken up in that we have continue playing and friend activity, et cetera, that has been kind of chunked apart from the recommendation system. And continue playing has really served that purpose to get back into an experience. But we see recommendations actually as a really useful tool. Particularly, I don't want to give away my talk in a bit, but we want to increasingly weave social into it. And we can use that as a really interesting hook to get a user back in an experience that they've played together in the past with their friends. So we are going to move down that direction where re-engagement will be included in the recommendations algorithm. And it's kind of historically been separate, and they're equally important. The other part is we're really thinking about how to treat those experiences differently. If you're a new user to an experience, you need very different information to make a decision of if you want to play that experience, right? Including the creative shown, et cetera. versus an existing user, you kind of know maybe the information density can be different, but maybe like experience updates are more important to you. There's new content updates, et cetera. And we want to increasingly get more sophisticated about highlighting those to both groups of users.
It's a good plug. Matt is actually going to be giving a talk on this after, so stay tuned for that. More to come. Allie. So it's been really interesting, especially as we expand kind of this umbrella of creators, now influencers are coming to RDC. And we're starting to see a lot of influencers start to become developers. So Creek did this recently, Dennis is doing this. What do you think the future is of kind of the creator ecosystem now that you have people who traditionally kind of focus on one thing, but are now expanding to do multiple things?
Yeah, I mean, it's a super interesting idea and relatively new one, because I think what happens is you have these influencers, right? They're on YouTube, they're on all these sort of content platforms, and they're starting to reach kind of the apex of their growth, like 5, 10, 15, 20 million subscribers on YouTube. That's a whole lot of people. And, you know, they're essentially power users on a platform. So they know a lot about the ins and outs of an experience, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they understand sort of the whole world of development. So I think the future is going to be sort of focusing on kind of connecting the right influencers with the right developer collaborators to make something that makes sense and is engaging for the community, with the influencer's point of view around what makes that thing sticky and how to sort of cultivate an audience around it. I think the most important thing and the most sort of beneficial thing that an influencer brings to that relationship, obviously, is kind of the built-in audience that they have. Like, they have, you know, tens of millions of followers at the ready to QA test, to give feedback, to, you know, be at the ready just to kind of jump in and do that thing that they already have an invested interest in. So I think the future is really going to be around the right collaborations and figuring out what makes it sticky and what makes it great for the community to amplify.
Awesome. Another question.
Hi, it's me again, Andrew Rose, Boldex. I mean, I'll ask questions all day, so you better get in here.
Feel free.
I'll switch it over maybe to the advertising side. So teleports seem to be doing reasonably well, but building branded experiences is not a super scalable model for some of the brands. So maybe you can speak about how you're going to balance that to make sure that we have enough fill so that we're able to sort of reasonably monetize players on a consistent basis.
I mean, Christine or Enrico?
Maybe, yeah, I think we can probably, you want to start, Christine, and then I can maybe. Sure. So I would say that it's still very early, and I would agree that the supply of ads for immersive portals is not where we want it to be. I mean, we are scaling that through our partnership program. Christina can speak more to how we're doing that. I think that when we think about these branded experiences, there's really a few different flavors of those. Of course, there are some that are very deep, very immersive, like the Alo Yoga, for example. There's a bunch that are really, really, really good and really, deep. But if you look at, for example, what the example that we showed today with the Ninja Turtles one is really a room, and it's supposed to be more ephemeral, right? There's the key asset, which is in that case the movie trailer. There's a few characters. Honestly, it could be just that, and I think that would still deliver immersiveness and a lot higher brand awareness than just watching a trailer in isolation. So I think that although even building that is not free, I think that model is a lot more scalable, and something like that can be built in maybe a week or two. And especially if you want to advertise something that is, like a movie or maybe the launch of a product, that is a very viable path. So I assume that brands will look at those as a viable alternative to start experimenting and measuring the impact of portals.
Yeah, and I could add on, just starting with more of the supply. We had a lunch and learn earlier today with some publishers who are developers putting portals into their experiences, and they're seeing up to 27% of their monetization coming from portals. So more and more, we're seeing an increase in developers who want to put portals into their experiences, and they're experimenting with different ways and different places to put them. As far as the brand side, like Enrico said, a lot of brands came on and they started to experiment with integrations into existing experiences, creating their own persistent experiences that maybe took 6 months to create. And now they're thinking about, let's do that, but also create maybe an immersive trailer experience or a shop. So we know shopping's a big part. I mentioned this yesterday of our platform. So a lot of brands and creators are thinking about how do we get our collection into a shop, which takes maybe weeks to create, and then driving discovery of that from portals. And then long-term vision, we do see brands actually taking their immersive experience on Roblox and using that almost as a replacement for a website and their social channels, because it does serve as both of those things. But now you have your audience who are together while they're engaging with the brand. So there's so much momentum of brands coming onto our platform and different ways to think about how they show up, how they engage with people all over the world. So we're going to start to see more and more brands, but also more ways of how they show up on our platform.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. If anyone has questions, please go to the mic. It looks like we have one other.
Hey, Bobby Lockhart from Code Combat. You've talked a bunch about how much engagement is valued by the company and how it's incentivized for developers. But the degenerate case of that is addiction, right? I was wondering if you have any signals that you use to identify players that might be experiencing addiction or experiences that might be encouraging addictive behavior.
I can take that. Thank you so much for your question, and thank you so much for caring about it. So one of my jobs is to develop global partnerships around the world with researchers and institutions. We have a very, very deep partnership with the Digital Wellness Lab with Boston Children's Hospital and Harvard. They've done a ton of research on screen addiction, helping us to understand what those signals are. One of the things that and this is a shameless plug, just FYI, that my team we're starting a civility labs. So one of the things that we're doing is we're doing small tests in order to, and working with the devs to figure out what kind of civility features can be developed and integrated into the experiences in order to make it healthier, to make it more engaging, to make it more positive and productive. So that's one of the things that screen addiction, in terms of making sure that there's a healthy relationship that people have with not just Roblox, but online in general. There's a self-awareness. And when I go back to our focus on media literacy, that's one of the areas that we focus on. We work with another group called the National Association of Media Literacy Education. Their focus is all about developing healthy relationships with technology, not just shutting it down or taking away devices, but instead giving people the tools and the younger generation the tools to be able to recognize healthy signals. So would love to talk to you more about what things we're doing. Thank you.
All right, great. I have a question for Neha. So I think we can both agree that we think this is the best RDC yet. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from developers that they would agree with that, but they're also asking what's next. How do we top this? How does RDC evolve? Could you give some hints into what we're thinking in regards to kind of the future of the conference and how it continues to, become the next best thing?
Well, I feel that every year we're going to try to top the past year of RDC, and I hope all of you guys are enjoying your time here. As far as yes, thank you. As far as what we're going to do next and how we're going to evolve, I think for us, RDC is always going to be about the community and the developers first. And so our evolution is going to grow with that. As our community grows, we also want to cater to the community's needs. So you've already seen an evolution from past years and this year, which is priority's always going to be our creators, but we also have expanded. We have UGC creators, we have influencers. So we do want to always, make sure that we are addressing our community needs, driving engagement, making it about product updates, and making sure we're also continuing to share our vision and our vision forward, be it next year, next 5 years. So we'd love feedback too, to keep making it better and bigger. So let's see.
Awesome, thanks. Question in the back.
Hi. Yesterday, the keynote by the CEO was very inspirational when he was talking about creator ownership IP. But what do you really own? Because after that, I went to read the terms of service and there's a lot of legalese in there.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand any of it.
Yeah, I can start and then maybe someone else field it, but any IP you create on the platform is owned by you. Some of the legalese we leverage is primarily for marketing purposes. For instance, if we have marketing and your icon shows up, we just want the rights to potentially leverage that, but everything that you create is yours. You can do whatever you want with it. We don't own that IP. Yep.
Hi, my name is Ethan. I work for Big Games and Fat Mojo. My question is, when are you guys going to be adding Instagram links or TikTok and other external links? Or are you trying to keep people on that platform and have it be more social?
Be a good one for, do you guys on that? Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a great question. We support some of these links today. I assume, are you talking about experience details page?
Yeah, like right under the page where you can add the social links. I know Instagram is not one.
Yeah.
Facebook might be, so it's obviously.
Generally, it's not. My quick answer is generally it's not for intentional exclusion. It's roadmap. And we're planning to revisit experience details page going into next year. And just generally reflecting on the entire page, including the I'm taking it as feedback that we need to consider other offsite links like Instagram. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Question in the front.
Hi, it's me again, Sam. So I guess this is a question for anyone, but if you were to build like a new player base from scratch, right, on the platform, what would be some of the things that you think about, and what would you want to do when you're building your first set of experiences?
I think this might be a good one for Jim with Creator Success.
The first thing I do is just talk to users. So I have a game development background. And once upon a time, we would just stand behind people's shoulders and watch them play. And I don't think anything can really replace just seeing what works and what doesn't in real life. I think as you start to grow an audience, I think Matt touched upon a lot of the metrics that are really important to the algo. The good news is those are the same KPIs that you should be obsessing over as a game creator. So as Matt said, relevant. So is the content that I'm creating going to connect with my potential players? Engagement. So if I get people into the game, are they sticking around? Are they having fun? Retention, are they coming back the day after, 7 days later, a month later? And finally, monetization, which is just a great way to make sure that your players are finding your content valuable.
Yeah, I would also add that, given the platform, we stream all the content, we provide all the backend infrastructure. It's really quick and easy to rapidly iterate. And I come from a background in mobile free-to-play for over a decade, and it takes a long time to do that. But with Roblox, you can get feedback almost instantaneously. So in addition to what Jim said, you can validate those hypotheses, iterate, and then really focus on what works and kind of not what did not work. So that's another huge benefit and value prop.
Thank you.
Question in the back.
Yeah. In the old days, we would make mobile games. And like the old days, you would make mobile games and your strategy for success was going to be to crack the top 100 and then organic growth would take over. And you just had to like burst your way up there. And most people didn't know how to do that, so their launch strategy was to get featured by Apple. And that was just going to like solve all their problems, which it usually didn't. But it wasn't a bad idea. And the way that you would do that was not just to pray to your God, but to go and meet Apple and go to, for example, the like WWDC or the RDC equivalent. So we're doing a good job. We're here. We're meeting you, and that's great. But the other thing that you did was you launched features in your app that tied to whatever hardware they cared about next, right? If they were like, oh, we added a gyroscope. I mean, there always was one. But whatever they added, if you built around that, then you were likely to be in their good graces. And is there equivalency here? Is there things that we can say like, oh, these are your priorities, and so if we play well with your priorities, then like we can all be friends and prosper and such?
Yeah, I think Matt can start with this one, and we can probably get some other feedback.
This is a great question. And by the way, I lived through those days and even further beyond PC downloadables to flash games, to social flash games, to mobile games.
Big fish.
Yeah, that's right. And I did the same things. We even did techniques like we did cross promos with like Doodle Jump, and anyway, times have changed, right? And And I think the times are continuing to change, and I want to focus on what we're building. And it's partially because of the lessons I've learned in my past, seeing kind of every angle of platforms and this distribution that you're talking about. And ultimately what we're focused on is democratized distribution. We don't want to have you fly across the planet to meet us and then convince us that we should write a story about you. You should be able to focus on your experience and building something really great, and then we can automatically interpret that thing is great via the neural net, machine learning recommendation system that we're building. So that's really the goal, plus giving you other tools like ads that will allow you to find an audience. And that's really what we're focused on in a company. I would say just generally avoiding playing favorites, et cetera, and again, focusing on democratized distribution.
And just adding on to that, we want every experience on Roblox to shine. We don't want Roblox to be the one shining. So it is about if all of you guys created amazing experiences, your own physical products, your own brands, that's fantastic. So there isn't any even formula for our social channels or any of the channels we own to be featured on it. We sometimes do feature things that are brand or vision aligned, but the reality is we actually want to promote, we want to democratize and support the entire community.
Thank you.
Of course.
There's a lot of knowledge up there and a lot of information that's in your heads. So what's the one question you guys are surprised that we're not asking you? What's the insider piece of a nugget that you could share with us that would really be a game changer for us to hack our success?
I mean, do we just want to go down the line? How do we want to?
Great question.
Yeah. I mean, I can start. I think, again, going back to the past, and we were talking about this, and I think a lot of us on this panel experience this, Roblox provides such a unique opportunity. I mean, out of the box, you don't have to deal with a lot of really complex tech. You don't have to deal with netcode. You have pops already that are performant. You get 3D synchronous gameplay out of the box, and it really allows you to start to do things that are arguably are extremely non-trivial in other platforms. But then in addition to that, we have this amazing user base, and you can iterate so quickly to try and figure out what works and what doesn't. So you can quickly determine if your hypothesis is incorrect or is correct. And I think leveraging our user base to try and actually iterate to that success state is so unique. And it's something you can't really do in any other platform. So that's that would be my nugget. That's where I would start. But I'm sure there's some really good pieces of advice that everyone on the panel can provide.
Yeah, Al, you stole mine.
It's good then. That was a good one.
I do think iteration is just incredibly key and valuable and unique to Roblox. You can build things quickly, and then you can iterate, get signal, all the things that Matt talked about. And then again, we're building distribution systems that will pick up on that stuff quickly. So it's this really tight, nice flywheel as a result, and it'll help you innovate really fast. I think if one jumps to mind, I just think beyond yourselves. And what I mean by that is we are a global platform, for instance, and we have, for instance, a ton of users in Japan, and that's a super fast-growing country. Brazil, India, Dave named all of them in his keynote. And you really need to think about those users and make sure that your experience works on their device types. You support their language, which, by the way, is very easy because we have machine translation, which gets you most of the way there. So I think that's the key piece, is iterate, but also expand and think about those types of users.
And I would just think about two things. One is, what's the opportunity for Roblox and on a large scale? And two, what differentiates us from any other platform? So one, when you think about opportunity, it's not only just coming together and playing games with people from all over the world, but it's really about being together, whether you're in a different country and you physically can't come to the US, but you want to connect with your friends and family. It's actually feeling like you're together and using new tech like Roblox Connect to be able to feel like you're communicating, but you're also together. So I think that there's just so many opportunities. Another one is shopping. I talked about this, but it's been a behavior on our platform for over a decade. So how do we really take shopping further, allowing you to express yourself? What's the impact of try-on and intent? And then one day, physical commerce. I think that's a massive opportunity as well. And then what differentiates us, and I won't talk about it too much because I'm sure Tammy, you will as well, but I just think that, our platform is what you're all creating and how you're helping to shape the future for people you're sharing different perspectives. You're allowing people to learn from you and you're learning from each other. And maybe if someone feels like they're coming to Roblox, but it doesn't feel like it's for them, and they actually create something so that it does, now you're creating something that feels like it's for everybody, so many other people out there. And I just think, with Tammy, the civility efforts, I think that differentiates us between other platforms so much. And so I think that we should be talking about that a lot more as well.
Let's keep it going.
Quickly, what I would hope that people would ask is how can we increase access and equity in education? How can we get learning opportunities out to more people? And after seeing so many examples, Mission Mars, Pathogen Patrol, which is really fighting pathogens and building immunity in the body, all the way to escaping in a chemistry lab. How many people wanted to escape chemistry class? Now you can do it in a game. Or learning how to code and move your pet around with Code Combat. These are all fantastic opportunities that you can do that not only are fun and deeper and engaging, but increase the equity of access to a lot more people.
And I think I'll zoom out in more of the sort of community building lens. I think when it comes to building a community and working with content creators on the influencer side, they're invested in your success. Like if you were to ask me, what should we do to just engage influencers? It's just about being authentic and consistent, really. So I know it can be very sort of nuanced in terms of what influencers will kind of dive into and stay attached to. But I think as long as your experience is consistent with content updates and cool things that they could do to engage on the platform, you're gonna have that sustained coverage across various social platforms, and you'll get that word of mouth from other members of the community just by virtue of them being assembled in the same community.
I was going to say that community is everything, but in what would we have hoped you'd ask, or what is like one feedback we'd give? I'd also say focus on long-term, not short-term. So this is a unique opportunity where we get insight into Dave's vision. So really trying to understand where are we going, not just in the next year, but several years down the line, and to build with length in mind, and not just immediate insights, immediate stats, but really creating that longevity and willing to invest in it.
So for me, actually, this question was asked a few times, and it's really about specifically for our avatar creators. I think one of the big untapped opportunities is to expand out of just creating and starting to think about how you merchandise your goods. I know that there's some questions around the revenue share and why is it 30-40, but the truth is the 40 is also there for you to take advantage of. And we are seeing very successful developers that are not even creators that are actually scaling their businesses quite nicely just by being affiliates. So I don't see why creators could not do that either themselves or maybe partnering with a group of other creators and build these shops or malls where they can actually merchandise their items and make a very more than double what they're making today. So to me that seems like a very interesting, I don't want to call it a hack. That's how the system is designed to work. And so I would encourage everybody to to take advantage of that opportunity.
So thank you that was an awesome question. Amazing. So as I sit here and I look out at all of you, I think about all of the power that you guys have in your hands. So in the most recent research study that we did with the Digital Wellness Lab, one of the things that came out was the problem that the younger generation has right now is loneliness. The things that we provide here at Roblox, it connects people. It gives people a sense of community. And that is something that you guys are building for. So the one thing that I would say in terms of what I would love to see from all of you is for you to pause and ask yourself the question, could I make my experience more civil? How do I create the experience that connects people in a safer and more civil way? Give us feedback. Ask us to try things, to test things, to innovate. We are all about innovation when it comes to product features, and our engineering teams are always so anxious to try new things. So the question that I'm looking for from you all is, could you try this? And we would be so happy to prioritize those things.
Yeah, huge plus one. There was a lot of talk about community and the importance of the user community across Roblox. I'd say take advantage of this community. I've never seen a developer community quite like this, and RDC is a unique event. You literally have your competitors up here sharing their playbooks, letting you know how they are finding success on the platform. The Voldex talk was amazing. Just so much knowledge and so much sharing. Take advantage, talk to each other, talk to us. We're all here, we're all in this together, and we want to help you.
And that was actually a great question to close us out because we are at time. But if you have any other questions, feel free to catch us at the conference. And thank you so much. Really appreciate it.